Hey there, church family. So, we've been talking about the masks we wear, from the I'm fine mask we use to hide our feelings and our struggles, to the chameleon mask we use to try to fit in with the people around us instead of being the wonderful, unique person that God created us to be. And the third mask I think we put on is the labels mask. How many of you have ever felt labeled? Somebody said something to you and it marked you in a big way. It could have been when you were 8 years old, or it could have been yesterday. But what they said stung. You can't shake it. You can't forget it. It creeps up on you and it plays on repeat in those moments when you're in a certain location, or when you're alone with your thoughts, or when you're already feeling inadequate. It could be that someone said you're stupid or ugly, or that you'll never measure up. Someone based your looks on a number scale, or said your dreams will never come true. But there's another way in which I think we are living behind a mask of labels. These may be a little bit more difficult to pinpoint, but I think they're equally as destructive to us in figuring out who we are. We label ourselves. Now, you might be thinking, isn't that what we're supposed to be doing? Don't we get to decide who we want to be? Can't we be anything that we put our minds to? Don't I get to determine what feels right and what I believe? Well, that is what our culture tells us. Media, textbooks, celebrities, teachers, authors, musicians, articles, friends, even our families can often give us this postmodern message that you determine your own reality. For example, if you form your identity on being a football player and then you tear your ACL during the first game and you're out for the rest of the season, well, who are you? If we base our identity on being his girlfriend or her spouse or his spouse or whatever, and then you break up, well, where are you? If you spend your whole life studying or training or fighting for a certain cause to get into a certain school or to get a certain job, what actually happens when you get the thing that you wanted? Is it ever going to be enough? You're going to feel empty. And why is that? Well, it's because we're made by God. And our hearts will always be searching for our value or our identity or our purpose until we find those things in Jesus Christ alone. Ecclesiastes 2:11 says this, "But as I looked at everything I had worked so hard to accomplish, it was all so meaningless, like chasing the wind. There was nothing really worthwhile anywhere." We not only put on the mask of what others have labeled us, but when we label ourselves anything other than a child of God, living for Him and obeying Him, doing things His way, we're still wearing masks. We won't truly be free. So what's the answer to our identity crisis? How can we take all of these masks off? How can we live without these labels? By believing the true identity that God has given to every one of us. How many of you have seen or read the Chronicles of Narnia movies or the books or whatever? You may be familiar with The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. But there's another book in this series called A Horse and His Boy. And I'm about to ruin the ending for you. The entire book is about a servant boy named Shasta, who runs away from his unloving, harsh master, who is a fisherman. And together with his new friend, who happens to be a talking horse, Shasta goes off on an adventure to save the world. At the end, he arrives at the king's palace, just in time to warn him about the approaching enemy that's on their way. Throughout the whole story, Shasta sees everything about himself as just an orphan servant boy with no home or no purpose. And in the end, we find out that he actually is the king's son, who was kidnapped as a baby. He's a prince. But for his entire life, he didn't live that way. He lived with a mask. You are a child of the King, the Creator God who created this world and knows how it works best. He's a good king, both loving and just, and to be his heir means everything for this life. You no longer need to search for your identity, and because of your newfound status, you take the masks off. You are not afraid to say, "I'm not fine." You don't have to be a chameleon trying to fit in. And what others have said about you no longer sticks, because you are royalty. What culture tries to feed you about who you should be, well, now it's going to seem silly. What you have told yourself about who you are and what you are seems small in comparison now, not only to what the King says about you, but who you truly are, a son or daughter of the Most High God. God bless you, church family. We'll see you soon.